Mad, mad, mad. I'ma feed 5-4 fun, money making animal. Don't put me in.
What do you know about Ray Finkel? In the words of old boy off the movie Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, what do you know about Ray Finkel? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ask Mad Show. I am Mad, your Duke of Travel Kingdom, international man of leisure, the Caesar of the universal players, your secret agent man, giving you the game on all things, man. And I want to ask a question to America. Yeah, I want to ask a question to anybody who live in the country called the United States of America, whether you was born here, whether you grew here, or you flew here. I want to know, what is it that you know about the history of this country? And if you call yourself an American, somebody with a lineage tied to this nation, I want to know, what do you know about your history? What do you know about Ray Finkel? Like, what do you really know about your history of your country? Like, because I often talk to people, man, and what I've come to learn is not everybody know nothing really about the history of this country. They don't know nothing past whatever, and I can't even say genre of music, whatever time period they fancy. And ironically, or I should say, conveniently, they'll leave out things. Like they'll say that they love, let's say, for example, rock and roll, but they'll leave out certain context as to how rock and roll began in this country. Not just who started it, but who was against it and for what reasons why they're against it, right? And same thing with like certain foods and culinary dishes that people would say is not just traditional, but they would call it good old down south southern, what do they call it? Comfort food, southern food. It's like, well, what do you know about these foods? And then they like to highlight some certain dishes that come from other countries that have now become a staple in America, yet a lot of those are new. And even the ones that do, they're not that many. It ain't a whole lot of them, you know what I'm saying? And not just the music, but or just the food, you know what I'm saying? But the way you walk, the way you talk, you know what I'm saying? What do you know about where all of that come from? You know what I'm saying? What do you know about your history, right? How did your parents and your grandparents talk before you started talking the way you talk now? Yeah? And my question is, does America have collective amnesia, right? Is it a generational thing where the generations of today, yeah, whether that's millennials, whether that's Gen Z or Gen Alpha, are they just unaware? Have they never been told these things? And when it comes to the Gen Xers, the baby boomers, silent generation and so forth, did they just forget? Because that's another thing that I'll see. I'll see something or I hear something from a certain time period, and those individuals or the people who were of that same time period, you would think that they were never there when this stuff was taking place by the way that they speak and act now. And even if they was there, how did they behave in that time? What were some of the things they talked about? What were some of the things that they were doing in that time as it's compared to how they are today? And as I stated before, the generations of today, how interested are you in knowing some of the origin of some of these things, or just knowing the timeline as it stands so that you can see where you at? Like, you'll watch something, whether it be, let's use the MCU, for example, Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is probably, if I'm not correct, let the nerds come correct me. This is an open, not even a challenge, but this is an open invitation to the nerds. If I'm wrong about this, I would like some nerd to come out with a lightsaber or, you know, a Quidditch, some type of Harry Potter wand. I want the nerd, or a Game of Thrones sword, yeah? I want the nerds to come out and correct me on this. Is the MCU the longest running timeline film series, starting at Iron Man and coming all the way to Spider-Man Brand New Day? Because all of those films are in sequence. All of those films are connected with each other, with the characters, the storylines, the plots. And is that the longest running storyline that we know of in film? Somebody, let me know if I'm right on this, right? And whether it is or it isn't, I just find it funny how something so not irrelevant, but just something not that deep or not as important as a superhero movie franchise, people know the full timeline. Like, even when it comes to like sports statistics, let's not get down on the nerds who enjoy comic books and such. Let's get to the sport head nerds, the niggas who know all about every statistic. They know about all the records that was ever broken in all these sports. You know the history of these sports. You know the figures that are connected to these sports, whether it be the players, the coaches, some sort of analyst, Walter Cronkite or some Harry Carey here. Yeah. You will know all of these people. You know what I'm saying? But what do you know about the time period in which these things were taking place? Or are you only focused on the sports aspect? Are you only focused on how Barry Sanders could cut and run, or how Walter Payton can run down a punt return? You know what I'm saying? Or are you interested in some of the things that was happening back then, right? What about if you're an athlete yourself? Not just somebody who enjoys watching sports, but somebody who actively participates and tries to break records. You know all about, let's say, Jesse Owens, for example. First black man win a gold medal at the Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. You know all about, Jesse Owens, but do you know how the country treated Jesse Owens as opposed to where those Olympic Games were held at the time? They were held in Germany at the time, and Adolf Hitler was the dictator, ruler of Germany at the time. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, one of you history nerds, correct me, but did Adolf Hitler show more respect to Jesse Owens than, I believe it was it FDR? I believe it was FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Did he show more respect to Jesse Owens than America did when he came back home after winning the gold? And at that time, you got to understand, Germany was a powerful nation. And it not only was it in the field of science, but also when it comes to athleticism. The Olympic Games is a way for nations to flex. That's a way for people to say, hey, we better than you, we stronger than you. And instead of going to war to display our valor or to display our strengths, we're going to do competitive sports. And Jesse Owens did that at that time. So what is it that you know about your country? And does America have collective amnesia, right? And why is it that racism can be passed down, but the stolen culture isn't passed down with context of where it comes from? Why isn't that passed down along with it? You know what I'm saying? You will have somebody who was born in the 60s or the 70s even. Somebody's born in the 80s, right? And because they parents, grandparents, whoever passed it down to them, they continue to pass it down to their kids. But it's very questionable to somebody like me, because during those time periods, man, Black American culture was high in terms of world culture, in terms of just the world itself and the influence of Black American culture permeating the globe. I just told you about Jesse Owens. That's back in the 30s, man. You know what I'm saying? You got people that came along after that, Muhammad Ali, James Brown, you know what I'm saying? Even political, right? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you know what I mean? Medgar Evers, Dick Gregory. You have all of these figures that come from way back then and made headway. I mean, monumental things were done under these figures, yet and still racism could be passed down simultaneously without context as to why you like the music that you like. She told me to walk this way, talk this way, right? Why is it that you walk that way? Why is it that you talk that way? And as you passing down this racism to your kids, and you also passing down this stolen culture, are you giving Are you giving certain aspects? Are you giving certain aspects of information along with it? Are you providing context and saying, hey, I want you to hate this group of people because I was taught to hate this group of people. While at the same time, I'm going to play the music, let you eat the food, and just about any and everything else, the sports, that the same people that I'm teaching you to hate were not only active participants, but they were the zenith, right? They were the overlords of this thing that I'm going to not only get you interested in, but you're going to get your kids interested in it. And you're going to continue to pass it down along with this bit of racism that I'm giving you for a particular group of people. Yeah. Because it is my opinion that all people aren't hated the same, just like all people aren't the same, right? In terms of level of greatness, you have some people who are greater than others. That goes for individual or groups, depending on how you want to look at it. There are certain groups of people who rank higher than other groups of people, just in terms of success or contributions to the world at large. Like, there are certain groups of people who are more productive than other groups of people. There are certain groups of people who are more ingenuitive than other groups of people. There are certain groups of people who are more talented than other groups of people. And by that same measure, there are certain groups of people who can hate more than other groups of people. And whatever your contributions are, it would, in my opinion, determine your level of greatness. So not everybody has that same level of greatness, right? And do people really not know these things, or is it all an act? While people are engaging in other people's culture and teaching hate and teaching blame, are they pretending to not know where these things came from? Or do they really not know where these things came from? Like, you can be on the internet, and obviously that's what we all are. Everybody's on the internet looking at something, talking about something. And you would just read comments. Now, I don't know if these are bots. I'm sick of the bot narrative too, where you read a comment and it's full of hate. You just have to tell yourself that that's not a real person. You have to tell yourself that that's a bot. I'm not so sure that's a bot. Every time it's some very hateful comments, I'm not so sure that that's a bot, just that a rage bait. You see what I'm saying? I think there are still people who very much think like this. They just hiding behind fake pictures and avatars. They plug into the matrix or the metaverse so that they can be their racist selves out in the open, because they would like to do it out here in the real world. Only that there are consequences for such, and, cowardice is their first nature. You know what I'm saying? You would think it would be to hate. No, hate ain't their first nature. Cowardice is their first nature. And so they not able to be outwardly themselves as much as they would like to. So they can plug into this matrix world, in this metaverse, and they can be as hateful as they really are inside. But getting back to it, do they not know some of these things, or is it just that they are pretending not to know? And I'm going to show y'all some things today. I'm going to show y'all a couple of different videos where you would swear that this was from another world if you didn't know these things. But if you did, you're just going to be annoyed at the sight of it. If you already know these things, it's going to annoy you, just like what I'm talking about. I've noticed that certain topics of conversation annoy people. Not because they don't know it to be true, but because quite the opposite. They know it's true. And it's not just one particular group of people. It annoys people on all sides, because nobody wants to be reminded that they are hateful, and nobody wants to be reminded that they failed or that they've given up, or that instead of continuing the course and going strong, they folded and decided to self-harm and inflict harm upon their own people, not for other people's admiration or to align themselves with other people, but because it's just too difficult for them to love themselves. And when it comes to Black Americans in particular, I think people they want to forget or pretend to forget just how influential we are and how influential we have been since the inception of America. Since the very beginning of this country, Black Americans have not only been kicking ass, but showing the world why we are a unique group of people. And I want to get into some videos, right? Some accounts from the late 60s. And I want to analyze some of this collective amnesia, just referencing a time period that most people would like to forget or pretend never happened altogether, or they just don't know about it. And hopefully this serves the purpose of continued awareness, because it's a lot of things happening right here today in 2026 that you would think that out of all the things that have happened collectively over the years, that we wouldn't still be in the same rut. And for some reason, we just can't get out of this rut. We, as a society, as a nation, even no matter how many people you import, it still does not change the fabric of what this nation is and what it's about. And so let's get into some of these videos real quick so we can analyze exactly what was going on at a certain time period in this country, so that those of y'all who have this collective amnesia or pretend not to know some of these things, I can give you a subtle, maybe not so subtle reminder of exactly what was going on and exactly who exactly was participating and how that matured over the years, because you can't pretend to not know what's going on around you today. You can pretend to not know what happened when your father, his father, you know what I'm saying, and maybe even his father was around, but you can't pretend to not know what's going on today, even as you raise kids in this country. So let's dive into some of this, man, and we're gonna start with this video from the late '60s. Let's start with this video here.
Teenage savages go wild in a juvenile jungle of lust and lawlessness.
We've set up a 20-man committee to do away with this vulgar, animalistic, nigger rock and roll bop. And I believe with all of my heart that it is
he said we're going to do away with this animalistic nigger rock and roll bop. Pay attention.
Contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today. I 100% believe it. Why I believe that is because I know how it feels when you sing it. I know what it does to you. And I know the evil feeling that you feel when you sing it. I know the lost position that you get into in the beat. Well, if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is about rock and roll music that they like, and the first thing they'll say is the beat, the beat, the beat.
That two-beat pattern is the music brought to the United States of America by the communist conspiracy to corrupt teenagers, and it's in every rock and roll number.
The obscenity and vulgarity of the rock and roll music is obviously a means by which the white man and his children can be driven to the level with the niggers. It is obviously...
Let's stop it right there. So they talking about the beat, that it gets into you. And I know, I listen to it myself. He's saying that even he has been subject to this feeling, this spirit, and he calls it evil. It's evil because not only has it overpowered his own, but it is intoxicating. It's very influential. And here this fella is talking about the white man, mother, and child are pretty much under the spell of niggas, so to speak. Let's continue.
The fact is, America in the 1950s was ill-equipped to deal with the pagan worldview and sexuality that lurked beneath the surface of this new musical form. The initiation into the fires of pagan sexuality began. In an era where sex outside of marriage was almost universally viewed as wrong, even sinful, teenagers began to dance to the coded sensuality of Little Richard, Elvis Presley, and Jerry Lee Lewis.
Rock and roll has got to go, and go it does. That's the best way I know to get rid of it.
Okay. That's it. Now, what does that remind you of? It kind of reminds you of that rap crap when they had a whole bunch of, hip hop albums and they was running over them with bulldozers and whatnot back in the 90s and everything like that. You dig what I'm saying? It's the same old thing. They just repeating it in a different way, but it's the same old story over and over again. And now you didn't really hear from young white folks in that video. It was some middle age and, older. Even though the white guy that was there, I believe the first one that looked like he was preaching in like a church or something, he might have been a little younger. He might have been in his 20s. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they were trying to use him to, get something going with his peers so that they could be influenced by what he's saying. But he also looked like a young parent who was concerned about his own kids. And I tend to see that's when the switch occurs. Is when y'all start to have y'all kids and now y'all worried about your own kids because that level of programming is in you where you were programmed by your parents to not like black folks and to try to paint yourself as a hater of all things black. But the obsession level in what you engaged in has now become a part of you that at best you are doing a poor rendition of what your fathers and grandfathers were. Because they didn't listen to it at all. But you can almost bet your money that they was influenced by something of a time period before. It might not have been rock and roll, might not have been hip hop, but it was something else that black folks was doing, especially since we've been here since the inception of this country. Now, here's another video where you have a young white male. He's getting ready to ask a poignant question to an older black male. And this video here is part of some sort of discourse that they was having. And so we're going to watch this first part of it where this young white man is asking his brother a question because you gotta understand, man, there's a lot of things going on in the 60s, man. And, when they think of the 60s, they think of the civil rights movement, but revolution is really the spirit of the 60s. It's not necessarily just the civil rights movement itself, but a cultural revolution where a lot of things that happened in the 50s led into what we seen in the 60s and just this explosion that, bled into the 70s and made the 70s what it is. What do you know about your history? You know what I'm saying? And for those of y'all who aren't from this country, who aren't native to this land, or for those of y'all who are first-generation immigrants or second-generation immigrants, it's a lot more of y'all than y'all like to admit. And it's not just, some Hispanics, Arabs, Asians and whatnot, Africans and Caribbeans. There's also a lot of Europeans who are second and third generation immigrants. If your grandmother come from another country and your mother and father were born here, they were first generation immigrants. Do you know that? Just because they have white skin don't make them less of an immigrant. They mama and daddy came from another country. And they mama and daddy came from another country. They probably couldn't speak English that well. And so that was around this time. Yeah. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on and so forth, when y'all parents was coming over here. And there was some white folks that was already here who had their concerns. Now, while they was focusing on the Negro, focusing on what black folks was doing, they wasn't really giving y'all too much attention. Y'all wasn't catching wreck like that. Y'all catching it now. The immigrants of today, but of course it's not the European immigrants, it's the Hispanic and, Asian, African, and Caribbean immigrants who really catch hell as far as immigration goes, as if these people didn't just get here in the, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Because compared to us, y'all new booties. You know what I'm saying? Compared to us, y'all the new kids at school too. Yeah, you're not as new as they is, but you knew all the same. But let's check out this other video real quickly here. See what this is got going on.
The Negro is either going to be free or he's going to be dead. If the violence continues, aren't you, Mr. Meeks, and you, Mr. Lucas, afraid that it's going to be the second alternative?
Young white fellow, I got a son in the 101st Airborne that you're going to kill, probably, because he's going to Vietnam. I got a nephew just came back from Korea that was wounded 3 times. The first thing happened, he went home, but a cop beat the hell out of him. With a pistol gun. Now you get this straight. You can kill all the black folks you want to, baby. But you will not kill the freedom of black folks. You think you're so indestructible. You think you're so great because you got all these weapons. I remember Mao Zedong once said he wondered where he'd get his weapons from. And then we armed Chiang Kai-shek. And he said, thank you, Jesus. So don't misunderstand us, baby. We're dead serious. This country was founded on revolution. We fought in every one of your damn lousy wars, baby, and you give us nothing. Now the war is going to be here because we're going to be free. Now you kill all you want to, but we kill too. We're not interested in interracial housing. We don't want your neighborhood. We want ours to be just as good. See, we don't want a store in your neighborhood. We don't want you coming in our neighborhood and opening up stores and exploiting us, and then go home and throw a bomb and we move next door out in the suburbs. We don't want your schools, but we want our schools to be the highest and the best possible for our black progeny. See, what people don't understand, we are saying, and we're not asking. You see, the die is cast. As I said, we're not asking. We're saying this is the way it's going to be.
So this time, man, not only was the culture taken off in terms of rock and roll influence, but the brothers and the sisters back then wasn't asking to be a part of anything that white folks was doing. If you look at these two videos that I just shown here, if you look at them in a proper context, the white folks was asking to be a part of what the brothers and sisters was doing, that being rock and roll, or that just being having this insatiable, obsessive nature as to what black folks is doing then and what are they going to be doing after that. And so I wouldn't say it's a mistake. I would say it was an oversight. These brothers was telling them exactly what it is that they wanted, because for the most part, black folk try to be upfront about what it is that they want. They try not to be sneaky and deceptive about what they want. You know what I mean? We'll tell anybody if you'll listen. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell anybody if they'll listen exactly what it is that they want. They'll tell you exactly what it is that they expect. And you should expect nothing more, nothing less out of them. You don't have to worry about some sneaky say one thing now and do something else later. Now that's a completely other different group who tends to engage in that sort of way, right? They just had Dr. Fauci on the stand asking him about COVID and, everything that he said, you know what I'm saying, while the pandemic was going on versus everything that transpired after that. You say one thing and you do another. And he plead the fifth over 100 times because he don't want to be honest about the fact that he was being deceptive. And still there's no transparency. Even after all the information comes out, you're not going to get him to admit his wrongdoing. And that's reflective. That's a reflection of a certain group of people who, no matter what information tends to come out, and everybody can agree that this is historical data, it's not made up, it's not AI. You won't get people to admit that that's exactly what they think, whether they believe it or not. That's exactly what they did, whether they, want to take credit for it or whether or not they're proud of their behavior. You're just not going to get them to admit it. There is no honesty. There will always be this level of dishonesty, this level of treachery, saying one thing and doing another. But the brothers, even back then, there was a level of honesty and transparency as to what it is that they wanted. And they wasn't asking for it. They were telling you, because as a group of people, man, forget as a group, as an individual, there are some things that are so strong in you that you're going to do them no matter what anybody else has to say about it. And so whether that's the creation of rock and roll and all modern music to be, all modern popular music at that, right? Secular music, right? Gregorian chant. I took a music class when I was in high school, right? And I remember I took this music class because obviously I do music, you dig? And there was this fella, I don't know his name, but there was this music teacher that was in charge of this class. And he was talking about, before there was secular music, there was what they call Gregorian chant. This was their music. And it was like, oh, sound like Jim Carrey. All righty then. What do you know about Ray Finkel? But yeah, so as far as music go, if it wasn't for niggas, y'all would still be doing Gregorian chant. There was no music, especially in song format, that could compare, because if it was, what is it? I'm genuinely asking, if you claim to have some sort of cultural relevance in the form of music and, whether or not your music had impact, I just want to know, what is it? What is it called? How does it sound? And how long ago, was it popular? And why don't you listen to it now? See, we still listen to all our old art forms and musical forms. We still listen to them. I still listen to the blues. I very much love the blues. I like jazz. I go to jazz clubs, sit down, catch me a vibe, yeah? R&B and soul music, 70s soul just so happens to be one of my top 3 favorite genres of music. And then, of course, hip-hop, which is my favorite genre of music because I'm a rapper. we still listen to all of ours. How many of y'all listen to yours? Like my girl, for example, she's Italian, so she like to listen to Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. And I dig it when she listens to it. I do. I dig it. But it's not that deep of a library to dig into. Not saying that it ain't other ones. I'm just saying, like, how deep does it go for some of these other people, right? And it's okay. It should be no shame in admitting that you enjoy other groups of people's cultural influence. Like, speaking of my girl, she's Italian. I enjoy Italian food. We just had some pizza, yeah? And pizza is one of those cultural dishes that come from another country that America has adopted. America has adopted pizza, spaghetti, lasagna, assorted pastas, but that's from Italy, right? Hamburgers, you know what I'm saying? Sausages, Polish sausages, whatever, Germany and Poland. But when it comes to most other dishes that you enjoy here, outside of tacos and burritos, obviously from, Mexico and other Hispanic countries, it's going to be Black American food. That's just it. But let's not get too far away. Now, I have one more video to play from this particular time period. And instead of it being a young white male asking a question to the older brother, we're going to watch a young brother. Now, you talk about YNs of today. This is back here in the 60s now. And this is the same form that they were speaking on back in the 60s. And you don't have a YN talking. No, you don't have a YN talking. You got a young revolutionary, a YR talking. We finna check out the YR real quick and see what he got to say, man.
Everything working. How about the other lab?
Where you gonna go when we start revolution? Whose side are you gonna be on? Are you still gonna be on your knees begging for us jobs?
Mr. Meek said he wouldn't die standing on this.
Now let me stop it real quick. Now the young brother is talking to what looks like some sort of preacher man. And I'm just assuming that before the young brother asked this question, the preacher man was preaching about forgiveness, preaching about love, and we should all just be together as one. And that's a very convenient narrative. That's a very convenient bullet point to push. Now, you have different political sects, different political groups today who try to push this. We are all in this together. We are all one. Whether they're talking about black and brown or whether they're talking about LGBT, everybody is supposed to be down with black folks and we supposed to be down with everybody else. And I can only assume that this older fella here is preaching something along those lines. But let's finish.
Feet rather than down on his knees. I will die standing up for God, regardless of any circumstance.
Okay. Have God ever told you to let this white man rule you like he is?
Well, young man, you first must be born again.
Man, look, I'm sorry to keep stopping it so much, but listen to how this young brother talking, man. His voice ain't fading or nothing like that. It's not wavering. And he's asking very poignant questions that a lot of people would try to slip through. You know what I'm saying? He's being very direct so that this preacher man, whoever this brother is here, can't just, talk his way out of it or try to act as if what they talking about isn't something that should be of a concern. And he's asking some very important questions.
God is a spirit.
I'm born again.
Let's go back.
Born again. See, how does white man rule you like he is?
Well, young man, you first must be born again. God is a spirit.
I'm born again. I ain't got to be born again. See, I was born in a new generation. Your mother could have brainwashed you, but can't nobody brainwash me. I'm ready. It's gonna take young boys like us to win the revolution.
The white peoples realize today that they...
So this young brother straight up told him, man, he straight up told him that he's a young revolutionary. He ain't a YN. He ain't a young nigga. See, a lot of you young brothers today want to call yourselves YNs and crash outs. Well, there's a reason for that. That energy that you have is not a bad thing that you have that energy. It has just been misdirected. Somebody, somewhere decided to direct your energy in this way that you is today, the way that you behave today with the switches and the Drakes and everything like that. You feel what I'm saying? Where y'all shooting and killing each other, that ain't revolutionary. Now, not saying that you have to be against a certain group of people. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to take that energy and direct it the way that this young brother is in 1969. We not in 1969. But that energy has always been there. It's just where is it going towards? Back then, that energy was necessary for them to get themselves out of the positions and the conditions that they were in. And now that you may not be in those exact conditions, you are still in that same position. Now, how are you going to take that energy and that spirit and get yourself out of the position that you in? Whether that's being productive or creative, because you have it, you have the talent, you have the tools, you just don't have the direction, you don't have the inspiration, you don't even have the motivation. But let's see how this older fella answers this question.
Wash you, but can't nobody brainwash me. I'm ready. It's gonna take young boys like us to win the revolution.
The white peoples realized today that they was wrong for enslaving the Negro. The great mass. May I finish? I'll wait.
They ain't feeling that.
If you're so militant and so intelligent, why don't you keep your mouth shut?
I'll tell you why, Reverend Mitchell, because I'm sick and tired of you standing up there on a television camera, a black man with a white heart and a white face. You're a black Anglo-Saxon, you're a disgrace to the race to stand up about a white man loving you. Ask Medgar Evers' wife. Ask the prayers of the 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi. Ask Emily Jackson's mother. Understand? Ask Grace Louise of 5 children who were shot in the head because he's riding with a black boy in the car. You stand there and talk like an unmitigated fool.
I thought you were more intelligent.
I'm intelligent enough that I don't listen to your dribble.
May I finish?
Now, see, he tried to attack the brother's intelligence. Simply because the brother was speaking passionately, he tried to attack his intelligence, not attack anything that he was saying. You see, he didn't address any of the things that he was saying directly because he knows he's bought. He knows he's bought, yeah? And it reminds me of some of these people today, man, who get on the internet and it's the same old thing. We ain't in 1969, man. And you would think that people have some sort of collective amnesia as if they don't remember this. Even if you wasn't born back then. I sure wasn't born back then. So I don't remember seeing it at the time, but you don't remember seeing slavery at the time. So that's funny, right? Because Dick Gregory was doing an interview with this fella named Real Black, and they was talking about this Miles Davis movie that came out. And I think the movie was supposed to take place around this time. Miles Davis, famous jazz musician. And he said that movie, I think it was called Miles Ahead or something like that. But it was a movie about Miles Davis, right? Don Cheadle starred in the movie. And Dick Gregory was trashing the movie and said that movie was a piece of garbage and it wasn't a good film. And he told the old boy, he said, I hope you didn't like it. And the old boy was like, I like Don Cheadle. He was like, that ain't got nothing to do with the movie, right? And so he was challenging the fella who was interviewing him about this movie. And the fella said, well, I wasn't alive at the time. And he said, you ain't got to be alive at the time, nigga. You didn't see slavery at the time, but you got enough intelligence to figure it out. So even if you wasn't alive back then, you should have enough wherewithal or at least intelligence to figure out what it is that they talking about. And whether it's a fella named Officer Tatum, who is going on with this Nolan Wells investigation, whether he's talking to Nancy Grace or he's on some other platform or he's on his own platform interviewing these 5 white boys who had something to do with this young brother's disappearance, allegedly. I have no proof to say whether or not they had something to do with it, but they are confirmed to be the last people who have seen him. They had his keys and they had his cell phone, and he went out to Horn Island with them a little bit over a month ago and has since come up, unalive. They trying to say it was an accidental drowning, but the parents are looking into it. They're investigating it, and they got some civil rights people. I believe Al Sharpton is a part of it, and Benjamin Crump is the attorney, and they're trying to figure out what happens to these brothers. And this fella here in this video, whether he's a preacher or not, is speaking sort of in the same way that Tatum talks about these young white kids who, quote unquote, love Nolan, and Nolan was their best friend. And he says that there are white folks who are apologetic. Now, this is back in 1969. He's saying that they are apologetic for their role in not just slavery, but the subjugation of Black Americans on this continent. And the older brother just ain't having it, just like a lot of people today ain't having some of the antics of Officer Tatum and some of the things he likes to propagate. But let's continue with the video.
Was shot in the head because he's riding with a black boy in the car. You stand there and talk like an unmitigated fool.
I thought you were more intelligent. You know,
I'm intelligent enough, but I don't want to listen to your dribble.
May I finish, young man question? Son, I'm sure that the great mass of the white people realizes that they was wrong for enslaving the Negro.
Let's get this lady back here.
My name is Jeannie Williams. I'm a civil rights lawyer. What has kept Chicago from erupting has been the open suppression and Gestapo-like tactics that the Chicago policemen have initiated in the black neighborhoods. Wherever there are 5 or more Negroes congregated, they move in, they break up those groups. I know what I'm talking about. They break up those groups and they shuttle everybody off to jail. Now, sooner or later.
Now, I have to stop the video here. What the sister just described is, now this is 1969 Chicago, where the police would ride around the neighborhoods, and if they see 5 or more black men congregating, they would break them up and disband them or take some of them to jail. This reminds me of things that I've seen in the work environment. Now, in my particular work environment that I've worked in, I'll speak about something very recent where there are certain managers and supervisors. Jimmy the Weasel is one of them. The Possum, the Jackal, the Cunt Brigade, I call them. Where if there are 2 or more, at least the sister's talking about 5. If there are 2 or more black people working together, they make it their mission to disband them. I'm going to speak about a particular incident that occurred really probably like maybe 4 or 5 months back. Now, I'm at work. I'm working alongside a sister. And the sister decides that she's going to work alongside me. Now, to give this story proper context, it has to be known that there are other groups of people who work here. It's not just blacks and whites. You have other quote-unquote minorities, yeah? Now, you have some Filipinos. You have some Indians, you dig what I'm saying? You have some Polish, you dig what I'm saying? And you also have Hispanic immigrants who also work at this particular job site. And they're allowed to work in groups. They're allowed to eat as a group. They're allowed to come to work as a group. They're allowed to work as a group. They're allowed to talk while they work as a group. They're allowed to do extracurricular activities while on the clock as a group. And nobody gives them no hassle. As a matter of fact, the quote unquote managers and supervisors join in with these people and, you know, when these things happen. But for some reason, where there's 2 or more black people together, they cannot stand it. And they go as far as to walk up to you and disband you, make you go work somewhere else and make this other person go work somewhere else. But however, I've noticed that if there's one black person working alongside an immigrant, they don't seem to have a problem with that. Like I said, there can be at least 3, 4, 5, however many of them together. Nobody has a problem with it. And if one of the black people decide to go over there and work alongside them, there is no problem. But if the black people decide to work among themselves, to eat among themselves, there is a problem. Now, just for context's sake, these supervisors and managers aren't all white either. As a matter of fact, there's only one of them that's white. The other ones is black, right? Where they speak and behave like this fella here that was just talking a second ago, where they try to speak for the larger collective, where they try to speak for white folks. But in reality, just like this sister here is saying, everybody know better. But that's one of the stories. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who's experienced this. Now, let me just finish what ended up happening. So I'm working alongside this sister, or she's working alongside me rather. And I'm telling you, not even 2 minutes, not even for 2 minutes, the possum gets up. Now, the possum is sitting next to this Hispanic woman, right? She gets up from her seat. She's supposed to be in some kind of virtual meeting where the computer screen, laptop, desktop screen has like Zoom meeting, and she's supposed to be engaged in this meeting, but she can't for the life of her ignore the fact that we have the audacity to work together. And she stand up and she comes up and she say, hey, you, speaking to the sister, saying, you go work, you go do something else. And she was like, why? And she was like, because I said this and that. And I was like, yeah, why can't she work with me? They over there working together. And, you know, I don't understand why we can't work together. And she said, sure, make it a black thing. And from there, of course, we was like, whoa. But she wasn't saying it to me. She's looking at her. I said, I just heard what you said to her, right? And she tried to just keep talking. And she stood there and stood on it and made this sister go somewhere else and do something else. She didn't care that she knew that there was going to be some sort of consequence or repercussion to what she said and what she was doing. And when she went back to sit next to the Hispanic woman, this is what the Hispanic woman told me personally, that she said, good thing that you saw all of this. Now, I don't know what the Hispanic woman said, but she maintains that she told me, or that she told the woman rather, I'm not going to lie for you. Because right after that, you have to understand, we had to bring this to the attention of the manager, who so happens to be a sister. Now, this manager was filling in for a brother. And at that time, the brother pretty much had management versus employee type of outlook on things. And whether or not he knew that there was a racist element, he didn't engage it. But the manager who was replacing him, or who was filling in for him, the sister wasn't down with any of this. And so we went and spoke to this woman, because there was a third sister involved. And we told her everything. We detailed the incident to her. And she called this white supervisor into her office and pretty much told her, look, I don't know what you got going on. I'm not accusing you of anything, but from what I heard, you need to squash whatever it is you got going on, because I don't want to hear about it ever again. And I gotta applaud that sister for that, because up until that point, all the other black folks who were in management would engage in this sort of behavior against us. And you see that oftentimes with a lot of cowards and a lot of feckless Negroes who want to get favor with white folks, so they'll make it to where they don't even have to do it. The nigga will do it for them. But a lot of times, it's not just white folks. It's other groups of people who have immigrated to this country who also decide to get into the racial aspect of how to treat black Americans. And I'm going to show a video about that later. But let's finish this one here.
There are going to be enough families deprived of their breadwinners and their loved ones that Chicago isn't going to be cool, regardless of how much praying Reverend Mitchell does.
We have a Chicago police official here, Chicago police commander, to respond to the charge about police repression in Chicago this summer. Is there an official in the Chicago Police Department who could answer that? You're not to give comment, sir. I see. Well, let him make his one statement. That's all right. Fine. Go ahead, son.
As I was going back to see, he pointed out for me that I could go back when I want to. Go back to where? Huh? Going anywhere.
Sir, could you stand up? We can't hear you. Could you stand up over there by the microphone?
You mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? We are not Africans no more. You have raped our great-grandmothers and stuff and changed us.
Excuse me.
We are not, okay, let me finish. And gave us a name as a Negro. I am not a Negro. A Negro is a person with a slave at the man. I just want to tell you that. And don't say nothing else to me. So this white fella is heckling from the crowd. He's had enough. He doesn't want to hear this truth. And I've seen this a lot of times too, where they just can't stand the truth. Because again, a lot of these people that say one thing, do another thing kind of people, they can't take this direct sort of confrontational assessment. They can't really take the direct, not just knowledge of these young brothers, but the way they're carrying themselves. They're very respectful. Nobody is being disrespectful. They're just being direct. And the young brother said, you want me to go back where? Go back to Africa? We're not Africans no more. Now, this is back in 1969. There has been a delineation movement within the last few years of black Americans who are deciding to delineate from this diasporic idea of one big collective Negro, one big African around the world. But other groups of people don't put themselves into one big anything sort of category, right? There is no such thing as one big Asian. Yeah, you have all different kinds of Asians. You have Chinese, you have Japanese, you have Korean, you have Taiwanese, yeah. Even Indians are Asian, right? You have Malaysian, you have Indonesian, right? You have all these different groups of Asians. As a matter of fact, there is no such thing as the Middle East. Iranians, right? Afghanis, Iraqis, Saudi Arabians, those are West Indian people.
because it's all on the continent of Asia. And then you have the European nations, whether it's the Italians, the Germans, you dig what I'm saying? The French, the Spanish, Spain, those are Europeans, those are quote unquote white people. Yeah, Portuguese, and of course, British English people. They're all allowed to be different, right? But when it comes to quote unquote African people, then there's a misnomer when it comes to Black Americans where you're not allowed to be American. Even though you're great, all of your forefathers and ancestors not only fought in every war in this country since the inception of America, starting with the Revolutionary War, they were here before America was even America. Right? Before there was a such thing as America, there were Black people here, and most of us can trace our lineage to those people. We have a different phenotype. The texture of our hair is different. The sounds of our voices are different. Yeah, even our actual complexion is different. If you look at most Black American people, especially my people who come from the Mississippi area, we don't just have dark skin. There is a red undertone to a lot of us. Yeah, and if you look at some of the mascots or the logos, depictions of a lot of these sports teams, whether it's the Washington Redskins or formerly known as the Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Indians, right, the Atlanta Braves, the Chicago Blackhawks, you see this sort of Indian-like figure with this phenotype and this dark complexion with red undertone. That's my people. And so this young brother is telling him that he's not an African anymore. And he's not going back to Africa. Why is it that people who aren't native to this land want to send the people who are native to this land somewhere else? Why should the young brother go back to Africa? Why don't you go back to Europe? Eddie Griffin has a joke like that because, you know, he's heard it himself in his lifetime. All Black people have heard that. Why don't you go back to Africa? And, you know, the comedian Eddie Griffin was like, why don't you go back to Europe, motherfucker? Because how many of your grandparents was here? Or not grandparents, but how deep does your lineage go? Because they still say that to this day. They still try to heckle the Black man to this day and tell you to go back to Africa as if they grandmama didn't get off a boat somewhere in the 50s or the 60s. And even if your great-grandparents came in the early 1900s, that was still post-Civil War. Because none of those people were here when America was deciding the fate of these people, these great people who the entire economy depended on. It wasn't just cotton, tobacco, you know what I'm saying? All the other things, the railroads that were built up and down the East Coast and extended towards the West Coast. And they had some of the people from Asia, I believe the Chinese, help finish those railroads that were already built by a lot of the Black slaves, and they didn't work by themselves. But just sticking to the point, do we have a collective amnesia? Have we forgotten this time period in all of these videos that I just shown? Is that not giving context to where a lot of things came from and where a lot of things have gone? Now, I want to watch another video in today's time just to show the progression. Let's watch something from today's time. Now, there's the truck driver in Mississippi, and there's been a lot of things going on surrounding Mississippi, but not just Mississippi, the South collectively, because for some reason, it's a lot of Black folk being lynched nowadays. In 2026, you got Black folks being lynched and hung from trees and such. And this Black truck driver is about to detail an experience he had right here, right now, in real time. And he believed he may have been a victim had his common sense not kicked in. Let's check out what the brother is saying real quick.
To my young brothers that drive trucks. I'm a truck driver. I'm a young Black man that drive trucks. Look at this shit. These motherfuckers, while I was getting out the shower, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. The dude in the window said, "Hey, come here. Come on the other side of my truck and lift up some shit to unlock something on his truck." I think he said something about the bathroom. He said his brother locked him in the bathroom. Like, bitch, why the fuck you can't ask your brother? Nah, bitch, I'm not slow. These motherfuckers thought I was gonna be stupid enough to go around what he wanted me to do. You see the other side of that truck and the trailer? when nobody can see your motherfucking ass, they wanted me to go on that side. And I'm pretty sure they was gonna goddamn snatch me or probably using a firearm or whatever. Put me in the back of that motherfucking RV right there and go off some motherfucking one hang me. Brother, stay safe and be smart, bro. Not to motherfucking day. And tell me why when I walked off and I didn't do it. See, look at him. As soon as I walked off, he talking about he was locked in the RV. As soon as I walked off,
look
bro,
at him.
These motherfuckers came outside.
Look at him.
He was never locked in.
He was never locked in.
Them like some good old white boys and me, bro. Look at them, now they finna go. Look, some good old white boys, big as hell, thought they were finna snatch me, put me in an RV, and do God knows what to me, bro. Not some motherfucking day, bro.
Not today. Not today. Dig that, man. Yeah, ain't nobody got to be mad. Ain't nobody got to be hating on nobody, man. It's just a matter of common sense. And you don't want to let things get too far. This is just my opinion, right? You don't want to let things get too far and pretend as if these things have never happened, because what ended up happening is history will repeat itself. Now you got folks lynching folks. Go figure, right? You got folks getting lynched. And this is what somebody had the nerve to say. This is what somebody had the nerve to say. Hold on a second. Let's see what he said, man. I can't. It's so tripped out. Let's look at what he said. This is from Dave Schmidt. He commented on the video. And look at what his comments say. That motherfucker can't even speak in complete goddamn sentences. How the fuck are we supposed to hear a fucking thing he says? You heard what he said, Dave Schmidt. You heard exactly what he said. Now, for some reason, you thought that that was an appropriate response to what this brother was saying. We know who you are, though, from what you just said. We ain't got to do no guessing as to who you are, Dave Schmidt. We know exactly who you are. You's a piece of garbage. That's who you is. You's a piece of garbage. But we ain't tripping on it. We ain't tripping on it. You dig? Now we at that part of the show where we go into my favorite. I am Secret Agent Man. I am the single match in the dark when the light goes out. I am Secret Agent Man. I'm the man who nobody knows, but everybody swears they know from somewhere. I am Secret Agent Man. I am the enigma who makes her feel seen in a room full of people. I am Secret Agent Man. Now, the next question of our show today is, where does your meat come from? Just like you don't know the history of your country and you don't know about Ray Finkel, do you know where your meat come from? Like, what do you know about certain brands? Like, do you buy brand specific products like Tyson chicken, or what's that other one? Jenny O, I think is another one. Like, do you buy those brands? Amish Farms? Are you into organic, or do you go to like farmers markets? Do you go to the local butcher shop? Yeah, do you go to a farm? Do you know somebody with their own ranch where they have their own livestock and they butcher it, they self? Like, how do you know which products are solid and which ones are questionable? How do you shop? What do you know about it? Like the finer details of the food that you eat. Like, what about the particular stores? Like, you shop for meat. Like, do you go to Walmart? Like, do you buy food items and meat at Walmart? You know what I'm saying? What about Jewel, like chain grocery stores? Like, do you go to places like that? Or do you go to like a market or a produce store where it may not be a chain like nationwide, but they may have a couple in your local, town or wherever it is that you're from? Do you get that deep with it? Because you got things that's being recalled left and right. They got iceberg lettuce in a bag. I don't buy bagged vegetables, but people do. They buy those bags of salad where those got feces on them. That's been recalled. And I ran across a video of a meat factory. You got to see this, man. This is this is probably one of the most disturbing videos I've ever seen in my life. This is just like, I mean, it's just disgusting. This is gross, man. Check this out, man. Check this out. Yeah. Now, if y'all don't know what that is, that's a bunch of pigs. You're looking at dead carcasses. You're looking at pig meat, pig head. They grinding them up. They all over the floor. Look at that. The snouts all over the place. You got skeletons in there. You got rot. It's rotted. I don't even know if that's only pig meat. Look at that. Look at the conveyor. It's oozing all over the walls, man. They stepping in it. Look at them. They getting that money, though, with shovels. They shoveling it. Getting paid, man. That's why, look at this. They getting paid to step on this. This is what you eating. This is your bacon. You dig what I'm saying? This is your sausage. This is your pepperoni. This is the stuff that you eating at the grocery stores and you don't even know what it is. And look how they got it. It ain't in no very nice looking facility. It ain't like the videos and the commercials that they show. This is the reality of what you eat in America. Not to say that it's better in any other country, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Do you know where your food come from? What do you really know? What do you really know? I'm not so sure you know anything. I'm not so sure you know anything, man, because y'all really don't even know stuff that happened before. So I wouldn't bet my money on it. I wouldn't bet my money that you actually know where your meat come from and whether or not the meat that you eating was in a facility like that before it came to your house and before you put it on your plate and served it to your kids. That's what you serve in your churn. You know what I'm saying? Don't think that's for fast food. Don't think that's for Arby's. We have the meats. You dig? Don't think that's Burger King, have it your way, or McDonald's, I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying? Because the fries and potatoes ain't really the... Maybe we come across one of them videos someday where they show how y'all get y'all fries from y'all favorite establishments. Because a lot of y'all like, well, I don't eat the meat. I just like the fries. I just like the... That's what, bro. I just like the fries. Just the fries. We're going to get into where them potatoes come from, too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, uh-oh. Look at that. It is 12:10. Do you know where your bitch is? I just gotta know, man. That's just my question for you, man. Do you know where your bitch is? I'm not so sure if you do. Now, if you somebody to know where your bitch is, right on. You ain't even got to answer that. But if your bitch ain't with you right now, she ain't where you at, and you don't know where the bitch is at, you might want to check on your bitch, man. You might want to check on your bitch, man. Now, before we get out of here for the day, we got to watch one more video. And it's in accordance with everything that I've been talking about so far, you know what I'm saying, in this joint. But let's check out this Indian woman.
I have been dating a black man for the past several years.
Okay.
And I thought it would be time for my dad to meet him.
Okay.
So I texted
Indian.
and asked him if he would meet. Never responded. So finally I was able to FaceTime him and he said absolutely not. He got really upset, saying that he doesn't accept this. He wants nothing to do with meeting this man. And
Heard
he
that
just
before.
kept saying over and over again, no black people,
Ooh.
no black people.
No blacker.
The following
No blacker
day,
people.
I asked him again. I thought maybe he just needed some time to process things. And again, he got even angrier than he did the day before and told me, no black people, no black people.
No black.
They're no good.
No good.
I don't want you to do anything with him. Cut it off. Cut your losses. You can find somebody else. And he hung up the phone on me. There's going to be a point in time where I ultimately will have to choose between my parents and my life.
Damn
and it's
shame.
looking more like I'm going to have to cut everybody out of my life. I don't know what it is.
Good for you.
So a lot of people in my comments
Oh,
have
we gotta
been
follow up.
asking why I would even bother bringing my partner into a situation where he could possibly be disrespected. When my partner and I met on Hinge, I don't even think we had physically met yet. We were just talking. Probably like 3 or 4 days in, I let him know that there is a 99% chance that he will never meet my parents. And if we were to ever get married, I know, crazy talking about marriage within 3 days of speaking.
That's so crazy.
That my parents would probably never come to our wedding. I let him know up front that this is the situation that he was going to be in because my parents are inherently racist.
Very racist. Of course.
Since then, I have never brought him around to any family functions.
Good.
He has only met a select few of my cousins that I knew I could trust because my parents are not the only ones who are racist. My
Of course.
My uncles.
Yes.
Distant family members, older cousins, community members, they're all racist.
Of course.
And I did not want to put him in a situation where he could be disrespected.
Yes.
I have always done my due diligence to protect him.
Good for you.
From racism, from
She's going to protect him from
any
racism.
type of disrespect. I wouldn't want to be disrespected like that, and I would never ever want to put him in a situation.
Good for you.
The reason why I wanted my dad to meet him is because we are planning to take the next steps.
Oh,
and
that's nice.
Possibly get engaged. I didn't want my dad to find it out from somebody else. I wanted him to hear it from me. I thought that my dad would be a little bit more open to it because we do have a good relationship.
Do you now?
I've already cut off my mom. I haven't spoken to my mom in 6-7 years because of her racism. I thought my dad would be slightly different. I'm not saying
what made you think that.
different. I'm saying slightly different.
She had hope.
And I was wrong.
Of course she was wrong. Now listen, well, I'm laughing at what now. I'm laughing, but honestly speaking, man, I do give her credit because she spoke on it. She spoke on it publicly. It does take courage to speak on these things publicly. So before I get into any of reactions or my thoughts on this video, I just have to say that I admire this young woman's courage and her, transparency and being honest with not only the people that probably knows her, the fella himself, her black boyfriend, her black American boyfriend, I believe. She didn't specify, but I can only assume that it's black American. Now, those videos that I shown earlier from 1969, I guarantee you those people wasn't even here. I guarantee you whether it was her parents, aunties, uncles, her for sure, I guarantee you they wasn't here. But I guarantee you they was alive. They was in their home country. And somehow, some way, they found themselves over here through the work of black American people. You want to talk about being able to come to America in large groups from whatever country you came from, that you fled from, is because of the work of the black folks in the civil rights movement back in the 60s, well, the 50s and the 60s. It wasn't just the 60s. It started way before then. But due to those people's sacrifices that they made, blood, sweat, tears, death threats, everything like that, political movements, in order for not only them and their children, but for you and your kids to be able to come over here and not just profit, but to make a better life for yourself, send for your other cousins, aunties, uncles, brothers, and sisters so that they can come over here, all for you to hate on the people who made it possible. Is this the thanks we get? Because that's a damn shame. And I know you aren't from this country, so you probably not used to hearing that phrase, but that is the phrase popular amongst black American people. That's a goddamn shame that you would come all the way over here and look at your daughter. Now, this could be a situation where they want her to, have some sort of arranged marriage because that is the scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? That's the excuse that people like to use. But you heard what she said. He said anything but black people. So he would have been accommodating. He would have, been cool with it was a white person, or maybe a Hispanic person, or some other minority. Just no black. And she said she cut her mama off 6-7 years ago for the same racism. Now that they ready to get married, I can only imagine that this has been going on for quite some time. And she met this brother on Hinge, she says, which is a dating site. Now, I'm not too big on those dating apps in terms of people meeting and trying to get together. But look, it works for some people. You have these cases, and this looks like one of those cases where people met online dating, and they made it. They was able to make it to wedding bells. And her family's racism is making it to where not only she can't enjoy it, but the brother could be in some sort of potential danger. So she won't even bring him around. She say just so he can't be disrespected, and she has to protect him from racism. But let's be real here. Black folks been suffering under racism since the inception of this country, and even before then. So how you gonna come from India, and you probably a first, second generation immigrant? How you gonna protect him in a country that his ancestors fought, bled, and died for? And like the young brother said, will have a revolutionary spirit. And I can commend you for going against your parents' racist nature, but it seems not that they have this racist nature against all people who ain't them, but Black American people in particular. And I just want to know, well, do they know the history of this country? What do you know about what Black folk went through so that you can come over here and be racist against them? What do you know about Ray Finkel?